So, in a world where everyone is trying to fit in, try to meet the societal expectation, why don't we just talk about peer pressure? So far you are living, prayer is something you cannot escape because it is inevitable. At a point in our life, I'm very sure that we all pass through the stage of prayer. This world is a land of exploring. In this world you meet a lot of people from different social classes, and all these people that you're meeting always have one or two particular effects on the way you shape your own particular mindset. Meeting people from the wealthy home, meeting people from the middle classes, just meeting people from various aspects of life. So today, we'll be discussing about peer pressure, causes of peer pressure, disadvantages, and how to prevent peer pressure. Following up, what is this prayer that we're talking about? Well, prayer is a feeling of stress and burden, mostly caused by demands and expectations. The truth is, personally, when I was growing up, we grew up, should I say, we grew up in the trenches, and the whole environment is what we mastered as what life is. So moving out from that kind of environment, trying to explore more, it won't be easy because I now tend to realize that the life I was living before is actually below what life actually is. But to us, that is the fullest of life. The food that we eat, the way we play, the music we listen to, the movie we watch, those are the things that shaped our life to that present time. But leaving that place to another particular location, let's give it an example, like leaving that particular place where education is scarce to now moving to a place where education is valued. You now get there and you see your fellow peers speaking English, the way they are communicating. You are now like, whoa, am I even going to fit in this particular place? Now to the causes of peer pressure. The number one causes of peer pressure is social media influences. This is very, 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 very dangerous because social media is now something that, everyone is into, and people post a lot of winnings on social media. Nobody posts their losses. Nobody posts their failures. You come online today, you see someone post that, okay, I just got my first house at the age of 23, and you are just 26 or 25, and you're like, wow, so someone at my age or someone I'm even older than is doing this kind of things. And before you know, you start feeling some way, you start feeling like you're not doing something right. So social media influences is part of it. See, before I navigate through the space of social media, I tend to realize that people who post their wins don't mostly post their losses. You know why? Because nobody really cares about your failure. Nobody cares about what you are facing. So why should you feel sad when you don't even know how many failure that person, passed through before they got what they are to show off? And you may not be even as privileged as they. So why give yourself the chance to be prayered by something may not actually be real? Yeah, people fake it a lot on this social media space. And the second cause is the fear of failure. Most people, the young people, let's just say the young adults, most of us really, have this fear of failing. And, at the point in time, I was also a victim. I was scared. I didn't want to start some things, I think I could remember my first video. Before I made my first video, I was like, what if it's trash? What if it's not that professional? What if I take this course now and I didn't do well? What if I start this thing and it didn't go as planned? These are the things that cause failure. You understand? You see something, you're like, okay, I think I'm good at this thing, but what if I fail at this thing? Why don't you just try first? Most people do this mistake by fearing what they will become. By fearing what they will become, by fearing the process. The process won't be smooth. That is the truth. You won't get a smooth process. If in fact, if you get a smooth process when you're growing, that means you're not doing it well. So prayer will always come from that part of fearing to fail. Embrace the pain, embrace the failure, try to do more. If you check the history of people who made it in life, all of them have passed through this fear of failure stage, but they overcome it, by just doing it. You have to fail. Once you fail, you succeed, because a success story without a failure process won't be interesting. And the third cause is parental expectations. Young adults, most of us are just trying to pull ourselves together to meet the standard of the family. You all know that all parents want the best for them, their children, but the truth is, all children are not the same. I'm trying to meet up the standard of the family. My father is a professional accountant. My mother is a lawyer. My uncle is an engineer. And probably me, I don't have the capability, to study the way they do. Maybe what I love to do is doing businesses. And that kind of child will find it difficult, to fit in that particular family because of the parental expectations. And this is to tell our parents to always, please know your child, know their strengths, know their strengths, know their weakling, so that they can do to their best ability. The last causes that I'll be leaving you with today is financial struggles. See, the inability to afford what you want as a young adult, as a young adult. There was a time I don't go to club, but I was privileged enough to go to a particular, school gathering. And when I got there, I saw the way my peers are spraying money. Like, I have never experienced such in my life. Like, the way they spray money, the way they spend money. And I was sitting down there. I was thinking of how to add to my school fees, to pay part of my school fees, because the money sent to me was not complete. So I was thinking of how can I just see like just 20,000 naira to add to my money and pay my school fees. And I was seeing my mates spraying over 200, 1 million naira at the seat. So I was thinking, I was feeling the prayer. So I couldn't stay there for long. So the other thing that can cause peer pressure is financial struggles. Once you're facing financial struggles, once you are not financially independent and sufficient enough, it brings a lot of pains, and you started overthinking and thinking and thinking. Before you know it, you enter depression. So we talking about depression, let's talk about the disadvantages of peer pressure. So what are the disadvantages of prayer? So the first disadvantage of prayer that I've noticed is usually low self-esteem. Because if you're facing any prayer at all, it will hinder your ability to grow your self-esteem, because the time that you are about to use, to grow yourself is the time you will be using to feel down. So the second one is mental stress. This is very, very common. These are attributes that you see from people, going through some prayer states. You see them depressed, you see them facing anxiety, they will be emotionally exhausted. Number three, lack of poor decision making. Because someone who is always influenced by others, for them to make a particular decision will be very, very hard. Let me give you an instance. Growing up, I'm someone who find it difficult to make decisions. For me to eat, for me to wear a particular clothes, I'll still have to consult my mom, my dad, my brothers, my sisters, all people around, and say, do you think this one will fit me, or do you think this one will fit the outing? Because I want to fit in a particular social standard, which no one sets for me. And again, we have physical health issues. once all you do is think, you're always depressed, you're always facing anxiety, you're always, in sad mood, thinking about how to get better, thinking about how to surpass people, thinking about how to meet people's standard, and you forget to check your health. It will cause some physical health issues in your body. And depression too much will cause high blood pressure, and before you know it, develop to stroke. And all these are just caused by the same factor called peer pressure. And the last one is relationship strain. Relationship strain. At that point in time when you're depressed, the disadvantage is that you won't be able to connect with people. You won't be able to connect with people because at that point in time, you are not even connecting with yourself. Because at that time, all you are thinking about is how to be like someone, is how to just fit in a particular location that you are not. Since we have talked about what prayer is, causes of prayer and disadvantage of prayer, why don't we just talk about how to overcome prayer? And the first way to overcome prayer is to set realistic goals for yourself. The truth is no one becomes rich overnight. No one becomes professional overnight. It's good that you want good things for yourself. You want to buy a house, fine. You want to have millions in your bank account, that is nice. You want to have children, great. But stop comparing yourself to someone who started before you. You cannot be comparing your number 2 to someone number 20. So life is a process. You have to set your goals, break them into little goals. There's something we call long-time goals and short-time goals. These things work together. So set realistic goals for yourself. And number 2 is learn to say no. Peer pressure will always find their way to yourself. Learn to say no. I'm not putting myself in this situation. No, I cannot join them to do this thing because of money. So learn to say no. Number 3, practice self-care. No matter how it is, take your clothes, be satisfied with what you have, eat good food, clean up, freshen up, fresh your heart, you understand? Just make yourself feel good, because we all have different things we are facing underneath. People will only show you what they are winning. They are not showing you what they are actually facing. Everybody have their own demons. So practice self-care. Next one is avoid unhealthy comparison. Especially we young adults, this thing happens between us. We try to compare things. There was a time, a friend of mine, we were thinking about how huge a billion is. So we came across a young boy born in a rich family. And before you know it, he's considered the youngest, richest Africans. And I and my guy was like, oh, no. And we are older than this person, So things like this mostly bring depressions. So avoid any unhealthy discussions. And the next one is speak out. Learn to speak out. See, try to talk to people, especially the counselors. Go to the counselors, tell them how you feel. I'm very sure you get the help you need. Don't die in silence. At that point in time, it is called a stage of transformation. So you need someone to tell you what you are going through, to make you understand how it works. Learn to move with people that have passed through the same stages. Visit the counselor. Talk to people in your family that this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm feeling. Please, what are the advice you have for me? I'm very sure you get the help you need. And the last one is prayer and meditation. See, nothing is impossible for God. You need to pray, you need to meditate, you need to calm your mind. Anytime you want to feel little, forms of prayer, Take your Bible, take your Quran, just sit down, read the Bible, read the Quran, and pray to God, meditate, set your mind, because once your mind found an activities, once your body find an activities, it will be difficult for your brain to process any other thing than what your body is doing. This is psychology. Once you have your mind occupied, it is difficult for your brain to get triggered by anything in the society. So I'm telling you today, if you applied all these principles, I'm very sure you will overcome peer pressure in no time. Anyway, I am Olamilekan Abdulbasit Okikiola, chosen one, a guidance counselor, a social media manager, and a content creator and writer. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.